Hi everybody, this is Sherry and I want to share with you my first takeaway from my dad's hip replacement surgery. I went back to help my dad after he got his hip replaced and I was there for 12 days. I was there the day of the surgery and then 12 days after, and I learned so much. I learned so much about recovery, exercise, PT, constipation, pain meds. I learned it all, and it was really, really beneficial for me because I wanted to, first of all, to help my dad, and second of all, I really wanted to learn more about this whole process because many of my students are going through hip replacements, knee replacement, joint replacements, and just different kind of surgeries. I wanted to understand what that process was all about. So my first takeaway I want to share with you is number one, the importance of breathing when you're preparing for surgery and in your healing process. Now, we breathe every single day, right? We breathe many times a minute, but we probably don't consciously breathe. And this was very important and stressed by my dad's doctor. In fact, he gave him this machine, I call it a contraption, to use before his surgery and after his surgery. So when I got home and I saw this little contraption on the table, I said, "Dad, what is that?" He picks it up and says, "Well, this is my little breathing thing, right? I have to do this every single day, once an hour." I said, "Well, gosh, I have never seen this before." I actually took this to my yoga class today and I showed it around the room. And I said, "Has anyone ever seen this contraption, right?" And about half of the students raised their hand because they had already been through surgery. I'm thinking this is a protocol that's used a lot to prepare for surgery and to recuperate from surgery. So I had to Google it. I had to find out what this was called. It's called a volumetric exerciser. And what it does is it measures how much you are inhaling when you take your deep breaths, right? So it measures the amount of the volume of your inhale. And it also measures, on the other side, there's a little measurement thing, it measures how slow you're breathing. So the doctor wanted him to hit a certain number, but he also said, make sure you're looking over here at this indicator. So needless to say, I'm a yoga teacher and I'm thinking, I want to know if I'm breathing deep and right? So I said, "Dad, let me try this." So I did. I tried it and I went something like this. And I'm thinking, wow, my dad had to get up to 2,000 and I barely got up to maybe 800, right? So I knew I wasn't doing something quite right? So the more I read about it, the more I understood a little bit about what this machine does. I call it a contraption because it's not really a machine. It doesn't plug into anything, right? Comes with a little handout. Yeah, this little handout's nice. I read through the whole thing and it actually has a little chart on the back side that allows you to track your numbers to see if you can improve your breathing over time. So my dad had to track that and he actually had to hand it in to the doctor. Well, my dad didn't do that great, so he forgot it the day of the surgery, hoping that they weren't going to ask for his homework. So that's just how my dad rolls in life, right? But for me, I'm going to be tracking this stuff, right? So anyway, I'm reading through it and I realize the aha, what they said about surgery, post-surgery especially, is this. When people are in pain, they tend to breathe very shallow because they don't want to move their body, because if they move their body, it's painful, right? So when you breathe, and you breathe big and you breathe deep, it's painful, right? So tendency for people in post-surgery is to breathe shallow, and you surely don't want that, right? You want as much oxygen, you want as much life force, and you want as much movement into your internal organs and especially your lungs to help you with the healing process, right? So that's what this machine does. So let's talk a little bit about the diaphragm, the muscle of breathing. It's the number one thing that we're exercising when we use this contraption and when we do our deep breathing, right? So let's look at how we don't want to breathe, which is shallow breathing. Shallow breathing looks like this. You see my shoulders moving? Yeah. As soon as I'm doing that, I'm actually using my neck muscles. And you can get really tight neck muscles all in here from breathing shallow, right? And then you're just filling up the top part of your lungs. You're not getting into the deeper part of your lungs and actually the backside of your lungs. You want to be able to expand your lungs in the biggest, largest way that you can, right? So in order to do that, we need to breathe with our diaphragm muscle. And what it is a dome-shaped muscle right here underneath your ribs. It's paper thin. Now for me, a muscle that is so strong that it can use to be powering your breath up and down, I'm thinking this thing's got to be a big, thick muscle. It's not. It's paper thin, but it's very, very powerful. It's attached to your ribs. It's attached to your spine. It's attached to the organs. All of that gets moved when you breathe. So you're not just taking your diaphragm muscle and moving it. You're moving all the internals, and that helps with the healing process. And that helps bring you energy into your body as well. So breathing is so beneficial for many, many reasons. So let's talk a little bit about diaphragm breathing, right? So when we do our diaphragm, when we use our diaphragm, we're actually expanding our belly outwards. And why is that? It's because when we take an inhale breath, we're filling up the lungs, so the diaphragm is pushing down, 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 down. That means the organs in our belly are protruding out. They don't have any more space, so they're going out, right? When we exhale, we're taking those organs, pulling them back in because the diaphragm is pushing back up. It's expelling the breath out of our bodies, right? So that means the organs come back in a little bit, right? Inhale, we come down with that dome, the belly goes out, the organs go out. We exhale, the organs go in, that dome goes up. Do you see how much that is nourishing all of your organs as well? Yeah, bringing prana, bringing movement. When our organs have space to move and they're almost breathing in there, they function better. One of the things I found out about post-op is pain pills, right? Pain pills cause constipation. We want as much movement down here as we can to make sure things are moving through our system, right? So that's why this contraption tells us, are we using our diaphragm? Are we breathing deep? And are we breathing slow, right? So let's look at some kind of deep breathing. Watch this. Oh, I just breathed really, really deep. I did, right? But I breathed in very, very fast, right? Right? If you do that, that's going to make you dizzy. You don't want to do that. You want to breathe in slow and easy. So let's watch, okay? I'm just going to breathe like kind of a normal deep breath right here. I'll just go like this. That little slider indicator went up, not very far. So this is the trick I found. And this is what the directions said. Do a big exhale first, like this. Wow, wasn't that different? Yeah, my capacity was much higher and I was able to breathe slower. So preparing your lungs to take in a deeper breath is the purpose of breathing in slow. That's why this indicator over here on this side is an important indicator. It's not just how much breath we're bringing in, it's how slow we're bringing this. So it's good, better, best. And as human beings, what do? We want to do? We want to get the best score right away, right? Well, I didn't get the best score right away. I was probably in the good. I'm getting a little bit now into the better, right? But this little contraption showed me exactly what I needed to do in order to breathe a little bit slower, right? So remember, if you're going to be using one of these things, make sure to exhale first and to breathe in really slow. Yeah. So a little word of caution for anybody who has any breathing issues or you're under the care of a doctor for breathing problems. I want to make sure that you ask your doctor about using this thing before you do it. Don't be cavalier. Make sure you follow your doctor's advice. So for me, how I'm doing it is I am on my 5th day. I've been keeping track of my score. It's getting better every single day. I'm actually teaching myself how to breathe a little deeper and a little slower. That's the purpose. So what I do every single morning is I have a daily meditation in the morning. I put on some nice music and I just sit there for about 5 or 6 minutes and I use this little breathing machine. And I just breathe in and I breathe out. And when I'm done, I just realize that I have a nice calm feeling about me. I feel a little extra energy because I brought in a lot of prana, a lot of oxygen with that breathing. And I'm also teaching myself, I'm teaching my body and its awareness of what it feels like to breathe deep so that during the day I can take moments where I can take that breath right into my day and calm a little bit of my nerves if things get a little hectic around me. So this machine is just a little way for us to have a tutor, I'm going to say, on our breathing. I plan after about 7 or 8 days to put it in the closet and I'm done with it. I might even give it to a friend too. Make sure you clean it out. They say to clean it every single day, rinse it with hot water and a little bit of soap, get it all cleaned up and you'll be ready to go. Now, my dad was supposed to be doing it every single hour, right? I'm not going to do it every hour. I'm really doing it as a tutor that teaches me a little bit of how I'm breathing. So you can do it any way you want to. If you're curious about it, I would Google it. It only costs $8.60. I felt that that was worth it, absolutely, completely, to learn how to breathe a little bit better. Everybody can always benefit from breathing a little bit better. So that's my first takeaway from my dad's hip replacement surgery. I'll be talking a little bit about his exercises and why certain exercises were so important. I'll talk a little bit about pain medications and how that happened in his body and how he had to deal with that. And then some other things that I learned from the physical therapist and the doctor as well. So stay tuned, everybody.